if they're unable to use Benghazi Gate, IRS Gate, NSA Gate, Obamacare Gate, you didn't build that garbage, if they're unable to get that message out as the alternative and get substantive gains in the House to block the rhinos who vote with the Democrats for every form of corruption and dismantling and looting of this country, if they don't go out aggressively and point out that we're going into classical tyranny and really call the bureaucracy and Obama and the Republican leadership traitors and enemies of America, then they're not fighting back. When you're being overrun and dominated, you've got to tell it like it is. And yeah, it sounds extreme to say we have total criminals that have hijacked the country and are shutting it down on purpose and attacking the family and trying to bankrupt us and make us dependent on government to domesticate us. But that's what the globalists say. That's what it is. I would imagine if you, for whatever reason, were a worker in somebody's basement and accidentally a locker fell over and there were 2 dead bodies in it, and you'd get out of the house as soon as you could and call the police, and you'd feel weird on 911 saying, I'm a worker, I was putting in some vents in this basement and there's dead bodies. But there are dead bodies, so it's real, it happened. I've been on the highway multiple times and rendered aid in a couple cases of people that died, a couple cases of folks that didn't. I saw a Corvette explode and flip racing somebody when I was a teenager, and we pulled over and helped him, and I was blood spraying and arms chopped off and everything else. And when you see something like that, it's like it's not real. Corvette and other cars zoom past you, turn, a tire blows out, flies over, explodes over the median, spinning in the air, blowing into pieces, bodies flying out. Other car slams in, rolls. 3 teenagers in the Corvette, one sitting in the console. And it's that we don't expect things like this to really happen. We cannot believe it. And so, oh, that guy's crazy. You know, he says that there's giant debris fields that took 2+ years to get here that are now arriving up and down the entire west coast of North America with uranium and plutonium all over it. But that's a fact. That's mainline Japanese news. It's a fact they put cancer viruses in all the major vaccines that get tested. You could say it's an accident in production. No, it's not. They're doing it on purpose. It's a fact, and you can just look this up and get the CDC's own documents from the 70s, and they're scanned online, where they admit over 100 million people contracted and died of exotic cancers that are now common from the polio vaccine. And then they have a PBS special where the scientists that worked with Salk to develop it said, well, we decided there's too many people. And so what if it had SV40 and all these other viruses? I mean, that sounds completely insane. But it is insane. It's insane that the head of Saudi Arabian intelligence 3 months ago in Russia, in a conference, in front of the entire Russian general staff, said we're going to launch our forces all along the southern border of Russia, Dagestan, Tajikistan, Chechnya, Russia proper. We're going to attack the Olympics, leading up to it and during it. Yeah, that was in August. I said 3 months ago. That's longer. Man, time flies. 4 or 5 months ago. Wow, time flies. Saudis threaten Russia with Olympic terrorist attacks unless it abandons Syria support. And then there's the article in the newscast about it, where Prince Bandar, Sultan Bandar, literally came face-to-face with the Russian staff and Putin and said, we're going to attack you. I mean, that is ballsy, ladies and gentlemen, to say the least. That's the only term to describe it. And the Russians said, okay, you roll missiles up against us in Ukraine, we're going to roll medium-range nukes in. I mean, this is really happening. And don't forget, on 888, the start of the last Olympics, they always play these games. It's all about the international stage and what happens at the meetings behind the scenes when world leaders are together. That they launched that attack on Russian-held areas, Ossetia, South Ossetia, Abkhazia, and our media said Russia had attacked Georgia. And then when I came out and pointed that out, they had neocon CIA-known operatives come out and say I was a Russian agent because I said let's not attack Russia and have a nuclear war. And then the Russians actually rolled missile systems in, mobile missile systems, and said we're preparing to nuke NATO forces massing at the airports. Because the U.S. was going to, with NATO, back up the Georgians in some weird war with the Russians. And the Russians said, we're not going to have a Vietnam border war with you, a conventional war you call a police action. We're going to have a nuclear war. And they said, you've got 2 hours. Oh, this is on television. Their chairman, their chairman said, we've been authorized to begin using intermediate tactical nuclear weapons on your forces. And the United States and NATO pulled back, and the Russians pulled out back to their border. And now our crazy banker-run government's bringing missiles in. They've got Al-Qaeda attacking the Russians, and the Russians don't want nuclear war, so they're sitting back and taking it. But, I mean, the trend in 2014 is war. You've got a global Ponzi scheme coming down. The globalists want to take down the world into this new cashless SDR system where they get $100 trillion per decade in carbon taxes and by-the-mile taxes and Obamacare foreign corporate taxes. Davos said this 4 years ago. They said through national health care transfers, through carbon taxes, through national VATs and sales taxes, paid into this new consortium of the IMF, World Bank, OECD, Federal Reserve, Bank of England, we will get $100 trillion a year on the people of the West. And they couldn't get Congress to pass that, so Obama did it with an executive order this year. And by the way, that's being tagged on now to your power prices, gasoline, you name it. Not even an executive order. He just put it in a microwave regulation that they would start carbon taxing, but you don't see it on the bill. It's just, I mean, we're living in cuckoo land, folks. We're in a dictatorship. I think that's the fact. 2014 is going to see an accelerated awakening, but we're going to be in the weird position of armed paramilitary, illegitimate governments robbing and stealing everything. We're going to know they're doing it. We're going to see the depression getting worse. It will probably implode. They'll call it an emergency like 2008, but it'll be much bigger and global, and they'll have bigger bail-ins of our private bank accounts, as they're now announcing in Europe and the U.S., where the private banks will actually take money out of your bank account. And the yuppies will all go along with it because the stock market will, plunge by 10,000 points, something like that. It'll probably go up to 20, and then it'll drop down to 10,000. And then everybody will freak out, and they'll say, well, they've got to take 20% out of our bank account to back up these other bad loans and derivatives. But don't worry, the market will go back up, and the yuppies will allow 20%. I'm guessing that'll be the number, watching them in other countries. And then they'll go, actually, it's 40. But we're not going to say who, and then they'll never say exactly what the amount is, so it'll individually happen to you, and the media won't talk to you. It'll be like a tree fell in the forest, nobody heard the sound. They'll just take the money out of your account. Now, we could be like Iceland and find out that 90+% of the debt is not ours, it's a fraud, and arrest the finance ministers. But that took the Icelanders a year of demonstrating and not complying and not paying parking tickets and getting in police face and bureaucrats face and running into banks and pulling their money out. And the British then said, we're going to arrest any Icelanders basically coming to England, because England basically was running Iceland, and you're a terrorist. We're going to treat all Icelanders' money as terrorist money and just take it if you try to get it out of the country. And the Icelanders started suing them and arresting people, and the British government had to back off. You can type in, London Guardian, headlines, you name it. England or UK uses anti-terror laws on Iceland depositors is one of the headlines. And they just said, no, I'm not a terrorist. I'm good. You're bad. You're arrested. How dare you say I'm a terrorist? And so the trend is the enemy's going to come in like a flood, folks. The walls are down. The shields are down. The enemy's flooding in. And even the dumbest people now know we're under attack. And you're meant to know about the attack now. And you're meant to just roll over. And you're meant to go into the crisis and just get into a catatonic state where I'll just do what I'm told. They think you're done. They think you're going to roll over. They want to bankrupt you once and for all. There it is. UK used anti-terror laws to seize Icelandic bank assets of depositors. Bloomberg. No, the terrorist was Alistair Darling doing that, of the Bank of England. And so you want to know the trends? They're going to try to start a war with Russia. The globalists are deep with the communist Chinese. I don't know if it's a double, triple, quadruple cross, but They're definitely gearing up for some type of conflict or proxy war with China. And the Chinese president's come out and ordered the PLA to prepare for war. Major changes in Beijing national security situation. That article is at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Breaking exclusive. Because Paul's wife reads Chinese. She's Chinese. Great lady, Ihan. By the way, I'm not even supposed to say her name, you know. They got a little government contact, even though she's a British citizen. Whenever she has family in China, she was told, shut up, when she started writing articles for us, just translating Chinese news. I mean, that's what it's like to live in a country like that, where they even reach outside the nation. My grandfather worked in high school and college with a major inventor who was German in Dallas, because my grandfather was what you'd call affluent. His dad was. And they watched that guy lose everything he had. He had air conditioning and refrigeration patents. And they watched the buildup before World War II, Hitler threatening, and they didn't know this till later, to kill his family in Germany if that guy didn't give him what would be hundreds of millions of dollars today. Isn't tyranny great? Don't you love being slaves?
The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. So why are the social engineers adding it to the water? Simple. Dumb down the host population that the parasitic technocracy is feeding on. We may not have been able to get fluoride out of the water supply yet, but we can help to get it out of our bodies. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive InfoWars Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Let's take a stand against the globalists by blocking their poisons with Fluoride Shield. I use Fluoride Shield every day. Secure your Fluoride Shield and other pioneering formulations at InfoWarsLife.com today. Let's start cleansing our bodies now and support the InfoWar at the same time. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
The critical battle for the heart and soul of America. Will we punish the incredibly out-of-control criminals that have hijacked the federal government? Will we go after Obama for Benghazi Gate? Obamacare? Will we go after the Republican leadership and get rid of all of these blue blood globalists like Boehner and all the rest of them? He's not a blue blood himself. He's another middle class, working class sellout to tyranny. Another narcissistic, guy that just parties all day long, just like Obama. That's why the two get along together. And it wouldn't be bad if they liked to go out and party if they weren't such scumbags. I mean, you guys are gutting this country for a bunch of crooks. You're their front men, and then you all organize. This is the year with the full-out assault of Mordor against Minas Tirith, if you want to use that analogy, the White City. And if they're able to bring it down, they win. Because if they can fully get America behind the world government and behind doing all of this and go from being a bad actor to being pure evil, they can do anything. I mean, if they can double, triple, quadruple your prices and have it be a foreign tax to big banks that own insurance companies, they can do anything. That's how tyranny works. So there is a big awakening happening, but those that aren't waking up are getting more narcissistic, more mentally ill, mental illness, breakups, delusion is getting worse everywhere. All the numbers show it. I talk to people that are in management and companies across the board. The people are either waking up or they are becoming totally obsessed with television and how men are all idiots and their girlfriends treat them bad, and that's why the girl gets the good-looking guy, and all that does is make people break up, and the family under assault, and children being taught, how to have sex with each other. Pedophilia is being mainlined in 2014. It is just incredible, all the trends. You're going to see another push to bring down Syria for al-Qaeda. I think you will see more false flags, mass shootings that are staged, more Boston bombing type situations. I think they're going to try that again to divert away from impeachment. I think you will see a move towards impeachment of Obama. I think you will see the Tea Party, even though there's election fraud and the whole political system against them, the real Tea Party, not the counterfeit. That's how they come at you. I think they will get more than 20 seats in the House. Worldwide, 2014, it's the same agenda worldwide. you see Germany and others being told that they're going to have to accept unlimited foreigners into their country who all get free welfare to further bankrupt the nation. You're going to see a big push for that here, obviously. Here's the Financial Times of London, U.S. public finance, day of reckoning. I predict that in 2014, you will see more than 500 cities and towns go bankrupt. By the way, that's a very conservative number. And I think more than 20 of those will be major cities. This has all been designed. You will see Chicago technically go completely bankrupt, but they won't call it that. They'll call it restructuring. You're going to see the population go from 49 million on food stamps to about 80 million in food stamps in the next 3 years if they have their way. You're going to see the robot takeover. You're going to see driverless cars on every state highway. You're going to see more layoffs at industry everywhere and people being replaced with robots, even though they're not performing as well. It doesn't matter. The globalists call that R&D. They want to replace us to make us obsolete as the ultimate tool of political control. You're going to see superbugs spread and kill millions, but the media will quietly blame it on the flu. I've confirmed with hospitals across the state that they have, and it's all over the country, but East Texas, almost every hospital is at overflow, turning people away with mass death happening. And it's being kept very, very quiet because the government doesn't want it out. When it does come out, they say it's the flu. It is not the flu. It is drug-resistant staph and drug-resistant other bacteria strains associated, again, that's in Reuters, with the deadly antibiotics they're giving chickens now and other animals that are kept in hellish conditions. And you're like, oh, so what about the chicken? The point is they're in these hell conditions, covered with mites and their beaks cut off so they don't kill themselves because they're in such hell, and they're in cages the sides of their body being force fed, and their legs break because they're so fat. You are eating all those antibiotics and the chemicals and the stress hormones, and so you basically are taking on the food boarded, the reverse of a concentration camp. The pesticide-filled, super antibiotic-filled chickens and turkeys particularly, those are the really bad ones. You are taking all that on, so you're now a petri dish to create superbugs. So I predict you're going to see superbug outbreaks that dwarf this year. I'm going to tell you more what I think is coming next year.
Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty.
I like seeing humans excel and take risks. So I guess in a way the NFL's good and race car is good. At least it's male, at least it's masculine. They've got this culture now where you promote My Little Pony and men go and watch My Little Pony. And as much estrogen as they put in the water, no wonder men think they're 5-year-old girls. Brony fandom carves out space for young men to enjoy friendship and cartoon ponies. And that convention's coming to Austin. NPR's reporting on that with PBS. That's what the Rockefellers want to sponsor and want men to do. And the creator of HBO's Entourage, Duck Dynasty, would be better off if gay people got to shoot at Phil Robertson. Yeah, that's amazing, amazing tolerance right there, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Last night, I was up here working, and I remember that case, that state judge who was spanking his 16-year-old daughter because she'd stolen something. And she was fighting him and not taking the spanking. So he was yelling and screaming at her, dominating her. And, I mean, quite frankly, if they caught us fighting in the field house when I was like 14, that's what they do to us. And they take us in there with big wooden paddles and spank us, and then they could keep control of the situation. They'd scream at us. Nowadays, you do that, the coach would be arrested. Instead, you go out and you act out of control, and the cops taser you, and your head hits the concrete and you die, or you go to prison and get raped or stabbed. See, you will end up getting brought into line, but they're going to try to ban spanking. They already tried to do it by fiat. I was watching the show going, it was so horrible, and she videotaped him spanking her. And the reason he's yelling at her is she won't bend over and get spanked. And the dad's freaking out because his daughter's been caught stealing, and he is freaking out. And it's like, yeah, he'd never spanked me until then, and it was horrible. And that's what it was, is that, and then the wife divorces him. I forget the name. I videotaped some of it on my iPhone. It was on MSNBC. And they were all acting like it was like, oh, my gosh, it's so horrible that he's yelling at her. And that's what happens. You don't spank somebody when they're 5 years old lightly when they steal something. Then it won't matter when they're 16 if you beat them. You didn't do it early enough. And that's what's happened to our society. And by the way, I haven't really even had to use corporal punishment with my children. I mean, it's you know, you can use reward and all the rest of it, but they will try to dominate you at one point. And, you know, if your kid tries to walk out in the street the third time when they're 3 years old and won't listen, you've got to spank them and make them get upset. Understand, hey, I'm spanking you because if you walk out into a street, the car will run over you and kill you. It will spank you. And so there's a big push. That is to get rid of parents being the parents. And then the state will spank you with serotonin reuptake inhibitors. The state will spank you with amphetamines to burn your brain out that cause heart palpitations, heart expansion, heart conditions, brain shrinkage, retardation of growth, retardation of IQ. But that's okay. It's okay to put people on hardcore drugs that actually hurt them. By the way, I've told this story many times. I saw it, speaking of PBS, years ago. And then later I saw something similar when I was deer hunting. A fawn came out. It was an older fawn, didn't have spots anymore, baby deer, out into the field. And the mother ran out and nudged it and was trying to push it back. She smelled danger, obviously, smelled me in there with a gun. And it ran back out. And she turned around and kicked, but kind of missed, and the deer came back out. So I saw the deer bite it. And by the way, mammals spank down lower, so you don't want to hurt the eyes. It's an instant. I mean, monkeys do it. Apes do it. Dogs do it. Puppies with wolves are running out of the den, and they think there's a predator out there. You know, mama wolf will, grab them and growl at them and snap at them. Not because she wants to hurt them. They're not listening. They have to learn through operative conditioning, Pavlovian conditioning, that you get shocked. You get bad stimulus when you do that. You didn't listen to reason. But the video I saw, which I've never seen again, probably because they don't want people thinking about it. Did you guys ever find me that icebreaker story? Next. Come show it to me, because what I want is a Kit Daniels did one on this. I want the CNN one, because it was funny how they reported on it. It's CNN, and it's icebreaker ship stuck trying to wrestle people. I want to mention that. Thanks. Anyways, I'm getting back into the trends, the news, and your phone calls. And I was watching the documentary about killer whales coming up to the Arctic ice and eating fur seals. And the seals need to go in and out of the water, and they have breathing holes. But killer whales will sit there waiting. They can hold their breath for 30 minutes or whatever. They're sitting there waiting for them. And the mother will come over, smell, has a bad instinct, picks up there's something down there, says, no, we're not going in. And the babies keep hopping over towards the edge of it, and the fur seal barks at it and hits it with its flippers, and then did the exact same thing, walked right over what I saw that deer do, and bit. And you could see on the film that there was a bloody spot. Now, was it better for the seal to bite the baby to not get killed and eaten by a killer whale? And the establishment doesn't want you having your own kids. They want your kids out of control, so they're totally screwed up, have no values, and the state can take them over and then discipline them themselves. They want screwed up people. And that's the same thing. You know, old fairy tales, they would tell kids, if you're bad, you know, a goblin will come and take you away at night. So don't go outside of the house at night or the boogeyman will get you. Well, the boogeyman was the fact in every ancient culture, and still today, there were crazy people and bad people that would go out at night and find people to rape and kill. And so you didn't want to explain that to your kids, so you'd show them a picture of Krampus. If you're bad, St. Nicholas won't come and give you toys. Krampus will come and take you to hell, and that's why you'll wake up in your bed with coal, because that's where you went in the night. So they just combined it with Santa. And let me tell you something. I told my wife this early on, and she didn't want to do it, and I respect her wishes. But you tell your kids, that's what fairy tales, what they came up with. It's archetypes of bad stuff happening. Hey, you don't do what I say, a Freddy Krueger-like person is going to come and get you. And that's very effective, because you know what? If you don't do what your parents say, and if you don't learn how things work, and if you don't learn the knowledge they know, even if they're not perfect, they do know more than you because they have life experience. There are stuff far worse than Freddy Krueger, the fantasy character out there. And that's all I'm trying to get to is, this is 2014, the make it or break it time. And there's a lot of other trends. I'm going to try to do a focused trends analysis tonight that we can air tomorrow, or perhaps on the nightly news. But war, big midterm elections, critical year. We're going to see a continued martial law build up. And I think the biggest thing you're going to see is the continued acceleration of the global depression in a siege system to consolidate globalist power and then to collectivize the entire globe with the globalists, again, offshore above the law, exempt from all the taxes they create to transfer our wealth to them, which they're also exempt from. So the economic global warfare will intensify. And the big news of 2012 is there is a global awakening happening, but the globalists don't care. They're moving forward with Obamacare, with more false flags, with the Boston bombing. The good news is the Syria war fell apart. Their system's melting down. But you will see more people who've believed in the system and keep believing if they follow the fads, they're going to be fulfilled, have mental breakdowns. Because this year I saw so many people I know literally believe they're going to become movie stars, literally believe they're going to become dancing stars, literally believe they're going to become rock and roll stars and music stars. Austin is like the new Los Angeles, where half the people I know are like, no, I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to be a music star, and it's going to happen any minute. And I know how rigged the whole thing is and how it's designed to make you think you become successful because you're going to be a basketball star. You're going to be a football star. You're going to be a movie star. And only a fraction of people that become a, quote, TV star or movie star even make the big money. And then that's a prison itself. Only a fraction of the best basketball players even get in the NBA. It's like, got to be 1 out of 10 million. Only a it's total delusions. And I've seen this over the years, learning psychology, just living, that most talk show hosts I ran into, most liberty people, didn't like authority and cared about freedom to a certain extent, but really they thought this was their chance to be big stars. And if they didn't become successful right away, and if there was work in fighting tyranny, or if there was any pressure fighting tyranny, they just fall away, or they start infighting. And again, folks, do you think somebody tuning into a radio show that's talking about this talk show this, that talk show that, infighting, do you think people tune into that or out of it? They tune out. Because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't care. People care about themselves and what's happening right now. They're looking for answers. They're not looking for Cass Sunstein's infighting. So the feds will accelerate their attack on the alternative media and on the real media, and internet censorship will intensify. And as they said 4 years ago in the White House documents that are public by the White House regulations are, Cass Sunstein, they're going to fund FBI operatives, that's the main group that does it, to pose as online talk show hosts. They'll even be given platforms to create constant infighting, Hal Turner style, to claim everyone is a Fed but themselves and to create hoaxes in the media in hopes that other media picks up on the hoaxes so they can be discredited. And you're going to see just massive intensification of that in 2014. I want to go to your phone calls. It's just that I'm sitting here brainstorming, thinking about what I really think is going to happen in 2014. Even though they failed and midterm elections are coming up, they're not going to give up. They might, if they stage another false flag, and I really think that Sandy Hook has the earmarks. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know there was a stand down. The Aurora shooting is absolutely mind control, 100%, no debate. Signed, still delivered, so's the Boston bombing. We've already hashed over all that. They could go with a nuke of a major city or a bioweapon release, or they could shoot up a mall and kill 200 people. Have a team go in, lock down a mall systematically it'll be a foreign mercenary team. It's just hard to get people that'll actually do that because they know whoever does that's going to be killed later. But they do have some teams that they may be able to get teams that'll do it. And then they'll have guys tied up in a storage room, 3 patriots, 3 gun owners, guys they've set up, guys that they thought were joining a militia. It'll be guys that think, this is just how they work. I'm not saying this will happen, but this is a scenario. It'll be guys that think they're joining a militia. It'll be 3 vets, 4 vets. And they'll think they're going to meetings and for militia training in case America collapses to maintain order. These guys will be people that don't have a lot of family, so they can grab them, drug them up for a few weeks to get them electroshocked and drugs so they don't even know who they are. Just so they're confused and can't defend themselves, they'll be kept after the brainwashing in a coma state until the day of the event. And then at midnight, they'll roll into the storage area at a front company in a mall or a business area they control. It'll be about a 5 to 10 man team that does it. This is how they operate. They'll have the guys drugged up, the patsies they're going to drug, and who they've drugged and who they're going to blame. And then they'll go lock things down. They'll even have a drill in case they get caught to tell the cops it's part of a drill. And if the cops get wise, they'll just kill those cops and run the operation early. And then they'll shoot a couple hundred people. They want a big number. And then it'll all be coincided with the guys wearing off from the drugs. And then they'll have inside people inside the department they choose who will go in and shoot up and wound the guys that are drugged up. So that'll be the cover in the hospital for why these guys can't talk. And then in a couple days, they'll come out of the drugs not knowing who they are. That's how they run operations. And that's how they did the Boston bombing. I mean, those guys weren't drugged up. They were CIA guys that they thought were going to actually get to work for the agency who were sent in as Playboy wannabe idiots to infiltrate and promote al-Qaeda groups in Chechnya. That was confirmed. We know the State Department group that funded it. The younger brother was just a tag follower with his arrogant, narcissistic brother. And I mean, we know that. And then they were part of the drill, part of the simulation drill, and then were told to go stand down. Then they figured out they were going to be set up when they saw their pictures on the news because they got wise enough to figure out what was happening. That's why they had to kill both of them, but one of them still lived, so they had to do the tracheotomy to shut him up, but he's now pled not guilty, so that causes him a problem. Before they death threatened the family spoke out and said, indeed, they were set up. And they had a whole other network of Chechen anti-Islamicists who wanted money and be playboys, just like other groups that they programmed. I'm sorry, I've kind of gone off the deep end today into a bunch of different areas, but that's the type of stuff that they're going to do in the new year. A new bombing. So Saudi Arabia is definitely going ahead with ruining the Olympics for Russia, which will cause them tens of billions of dollars. Novostat reports 1 person was killed and 2 injured in a roadside bombing in Russia's North Caucasus Republic of Dagestan. Late Monday, a police spokesman said an improvised explosive device went off as traffic police car was driving by. 2 officers in the car were injured and a passerby was killed, the spokesman said. An Islamicist insurgency, once confirmed largely to Chechnya, has spread across North Caucasus in recent years with attacks on security forces, police, and civilians reportedly almost daily in nearby republics of Dagestan. And again, that's where they're having the Olympics. And that's very close to the area in Russia where they just had all the attacks. So it's on, folks. It's on. Here's what I wanted to report to you. Chinese icebreaker turns back from Antarctic rescue mission, one of the biggest and most powerful icebreakers known. Of modern design, Chinese ship trying to reach a trapped expedition vessel in Antarctica has turned back. So both the North and South Pole are just massive. The icebreaker, the Zhulong, or Snow Dragon, has just 6 nautical miles away from the Russian flag vessel when the captain decided the ship could not get any closer. And there's another icebreaker I've got that's actually stuck as well, trying to get to them. And so now they're going to try to use an airlift to evacuate them from the stranded, frozen Antarctic ship.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
My judge, what is the secret of the universe?
Infowars.com.
You're going to see evil come out in the open in 2014. And good better come out in the open and resist it at every level by shouting it down and pointing out it's a fraud. They'll back off, just like going in to support Al-Qaeda in Syria, at least publicly. I mean, your voice is out there. Your support of liberty, your support of independent free speech is so essential. They're going to try to pass hate laws that ban speech that is, quote, offensive or hurtful to any group. Well, you can find people out there that are offended by anything. And that's why you see the media putting this image out. But you'll see the power of the kleptocratic media wane, but with their target, captured, kept audience, you'll see them get even more delusional. I mean, you can tell when somebody's a big TV head. I've got so many friends that end up, who have great marriages, their marriages end as soon as their wife starts becoming a big television head. Because you watch it, it's scientific programming. Every word they say on sitcoms, dramas, soap operas, movies is meant to shred the family, is meant to put men down, and is meant to have women just be total narcissistic, arrogant, self-serving creatures that care about nothing but their own, personal power and being glamorous. That's the new feminism, is just being a tyrant and dominating your man, not working with them. And it's just spreading everywhere. And again, men are buying into the image of men just being childlike, moron, pleasure seekers who just sit around gibbering mindlessly all day. So you're seeing the effects of that in 2013 and 2014. But you'll see CNN, MSNBC continue to race bait, continue to push balkanization. You're just going to see the establishment throw total fits in what they're doing because they can't stop stealing and they can't stop their instinct to want to eradicate good. It's not just they want to dominate. They don't like goodness. They've turned themselves over to it. They're animated by it. And so you're going to just see madness. You're going to see mass mental illness and a pouring out of a spirit of evil in 2014. But you know what the Bible says, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against it. So these are historic times, and I don't want to hear from anybody that you're bored. I don't want to hear from anybody that, oh my gosh, life's so meaningless. It's meaningless if you only care about substance of, garbage, of trappings of success. The fake substance, the fake material. You've got to care about the real essence of freedom, the engine of all that's good, minus the fake substance of materialism. Now, again, they don't want you to have enough materialism so they can dangle it in front of you and control you. I want people to materially be satisfied. You want that. Because then they can't be as easily controlled. The problem is that in this narcissistic, decadent, total materialistic society, where that's worshiped, there's never enough. And that's where all the control freak manifestations come from, as the people that have all the power are totally unhappy. So if they could just dominate the world, they might be happy. Or if they could just have the life extension technologies, but they can't let the general public have it, you know, they would be happy. On and on and on. I'm going to do a little bit of overdrive because folks have been holding patiently. Nick in Pennsylvania, and then Ryan and James and Nathan and Rod. I'll try to get to all of you and to make your points. We didn't have any guests today, and I tend to run on at the mouth sometimes when I don't have guests. It's kind of a intermission or rest from my ranting. But I hope that this has spurred people to think about where we've been in 2013, where we're going in 2014. And I'm not trying to give you gloom and doom. We're in this situation. It's the best of times, worst of times. But if we're honest about where we are as a civilization and as a society and admit that we're in peril, we can get out of it. It's like that icebreaker up there with the melted, or down there in the melted Antarctic, you know, down there in the global warming. I mean, it's stuck in the ice. They have to admit they're stuck in the ice. The InfoWars crew absolutely loves coffee because we love being awake. And I am somewhat of a connoisseur of coffee. So many times you go to a restaurant or even to a coffee shop and the coffee tastes like garbage. And in all the different coffees I've tried, my favorite is grown in the high mountains, in shade, Arabica, on the border with Guatemala in southern Mexico by the Chiapas farmers. I make sure we've done the research. I make sure it's the very best product that we can offer you when I put my name on it. And I believe, and it's my taste, so you may differ, that this is the best coffee in the world from southern Mexico. Wake Up America Patriot Blend, 100% organic, Arabica shade grown. And then we have the Immune Support, 100% organic coffee, infused with a special type of mushroom known to boost the immunity.
This coffee is seriously so smooth. I normally have to douse my coffee with cream and sugar and cinnamon and all kinds of tasty treats, but this, I drink this black. It is so good.
Well, that's why I like it, is that it has a kick, it has really good caffeine in it, it has a good clean wake up that lasts for a long time, doesn't give me a headache, but it's so smooth, it's so delicious. Just try it out for yourself. I'm telling you, this is my favorite coffee. We went through a lot of trouble to bring you this. Just try it, and I think you'll be hooked like we are here at InfoWars. Well, folks, find out for yourself and support the information war today. It's all available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. 2014 will be the year people wake up to the fact that the facade hides a military-designed mind control program to literally destroy humanity as we know it. The question is, will the general population have the will to admit that that's indeed happening? 2014 is so critical. Let's talk to Nick in Pennsylvania. Thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Alex, how you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, brother. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. One thing I wanted to say is evil wins when good does nothing. We got to fight this stuff. We have to.
Yeah, but I mean, I like to watch football. That's where I see fighting. I'm concerned about that. I don't care if they're taking kids for no reason and putting them on 7-8 drugs and killing them. I mean, so what if they're doing pesticide tests on little black kids in New York? I mean, it's racist if you don't want to kill the black kids.
Let me tell you something, Alex. My country means more to me than a football game. The people have got to get their heads out of the sand. I mean, I watched your video, your DVD Endgame. Let me tell you something. It's fantastic. I watched it over and over again, and you're right. This is being done through incrementalism.
You notice I made that film almost 8 years ago, and if you look at it, I say in the near future at the start of the film, and now most of it's happened.
Absolutely, it has happened, and you were right. You hit the nail right on the head. This is being done through incrementalism. It's getting people to think, oh, it's okay to spy on you. We're being protected. No, it's not okay. The government does not have a right to put us under a microscope and look at us like a disease. We have the right to freedom and privacy in this country, and it makes me sick, Alex. I'm tired of this.
You said it beautifully, brother. God bless you. What do you think's coming up in 2014?
Well, you know what? In 2014, Alex, this is what I'm praying for. The good people have got to come together. I intend on being by your side 100% and prayfully vice versa. I'm hoping to be on your show more often. I'm hoping to tell you what's going on here in Philly. It's a disgrace. I see U.S. military aircraft flying around the city of Philadelphia 24/7. There's frequency weapons that are out there. Incidentally, how's your uncle doing?
He's, by the grace of God, he's still not cognitively there, but he's getting better and getting more responsive, and they're doing brain scans and stuff today, but he didn't die, and that's a big blessing.
Well, I want to let you know I am praying for your uncle every single day, and, you know, like I said, I hope they do that fungus test, because I've been doing research, and there's a fungus called Aspergillus, Aspergillis, that attacks the lungs. It can also attack the lining of your brain that causes meningitis. And, you know, I'm not saying that's what it is, but there is a possibility. They need to do more focus.
No, I hear you. I hear you, brother. I'm going to jump. Thank you so much. We're going to go to break. I'm going to continue doing some overdrive. This 12-minute segment coming up so I can get to everybody. Breaking down the major trends of 2013. I appreciate everybody holding. Let's just get Ryan's call started. Ryan, what'd you call in about?
Hi there, Alex. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I was just calling about something that I didn't hear anybody touch on yet. Was actually the false flag nuclear attack down there in South Carolina.
Yeah, that is the year they fired a bunch of nuke generals right after we were told by our high-level source that they transferred secret nukes out of Dyess Air Force Base, West Texas, yes.
That's what I was calling about, yeah. I was kind of followed up on that and found out there was a 4.5 earthquake off the coast, about 620 miles, supposedly detonated underwater. So, yeah, that was pretty key. I wanted to touch on that. And
well, Lindsey Graham, hours after we reported it, gave a speech, and the Associated Press carried it, saying that they were looking at that harbor being nuked, and then an earthquake happens, and some have said it was a nuke. I don't know. I'm going to go right back to your calls, but let me just show you a few of the headlines. If you're a TV viewer, you can see this at prisonplanet.tv. Russia wishes NATO a happy new year. It's also up on Infowars.com, as only Russia can. Russian Deputy Prime Minister has sent NATO a rather unusual New Year's card picturing Santa alongside a Russian intercontinental ballistic missile. Video, and this is up on Infowars.com from the London Independent. Sun has flipped upside down as new magnetic cycle begins. I wonder if the bureaucrats can have a UN vote. They said the sun doesn't affect climate. How about they have a vote and just say the Arctic's melted, and Antarctic, like Al Gore said it would do by this year. Doesn't matter, it's at record levels. The sun is flipped upside down and its north to south poles reversed to reach the midpoint of the solar cycle 24, NASA has said. 18 dead in Iraq attacks, including Army general. Again, they wanted to destabilize Iraq. That was the policy, just like they wanted to destroy any other sovereign nation. The U.S. dollar is dumping again. That's out of zero hedge. For the second time in a week, the market is running, not walking away from USD. Despite all the equity market exuberance over the taper, the USD is now unchanged from the FOMC decision and its relative free fall on the world's reserve currency on a scale we saw during last Friday's craziness. Treasuries are modestly bid this morning. Equities are flat and precious metals are lower, though gold is recovering as USD sinks. Florida neighborhood bans kids from playing in the street. But then if your kid gets overweight, the CPS will take them. So that's just some of the news I've got on that front. Here's a New American article that hits the nail on the head. Establishment terrified, both Republican and Democrat. Tea Party won't back unnecessary wars. And it breaks down how the whole system's coming after them and how 2014 is so key for getting good Tea Party people into office. I mentioned this yesterday, but I need to mention it again and then go to your calls. The latest revelations are that when any public figure, anybody, wants to buy a computer via the mail, or an iPhone via the mail or whatever, that the NSA has a whole assembly line system with Apple, with Microsoft, with all of them, with the Postal Service, with UPS, with FedEx, to where your package is intercepted, routed to them, and then without warrants, they put the malware and spyware on it. And then the FBI releases a worldwide malware to, quote, catch one guy. So when he logged onto any computer in the world, they could catch him. Does anyone believe that? We've always told you the viruses are being created by the globalists. They created Stuxnet 3 years ago, and I predicted they would say, we've got to take internet freedom because of Stuxnet. Even after it was admitted the U.S. and Israel made it, we have to give up our rights because they made a virus. We have to give up our rights because they're helping Al-Qaeda. I mean, bull, man. Enough is enough. And all you new listeners out there that laugh at this stuff, I know you're not laughing too much now. We're going to lose everything if we don't get upset. I mean, Drudge linked to my article, or our article yesterday. It's actually an RT article we posted, where now the police are just having real checkpoints taking DNA without warrants. First, it was federal funding where they asked voluntarily and intimidated you. Now they're just saying, give it to me. Just incredible. Here's another article. Target's close relationship to government needs to be watched. Target's forensic services is who the FBI, Secret Service, BATF, and others have turned to for help for 2 decades. Yeah, and the FBI crime lab, folks, is the most corrupt in the world. Was it Dr. Frederick Whitehurst? We've interviewed him, went public, the head of the crime lab, about the total fraud where they were framing almost everybody. And all the other major police labs get caught framing. I mean, let me tell you, the system, you cannot believe a police officer when they testify or an FBI agent. And I'm not saying individually they may be a crook. I'm not saying individually I think they're all crooks. I'm saying on the top, they are a known criminal group. Any big police department, every major police department in Texas has had frame-ups in their labs, or they use groups that engage in frame-ups. Target is a social engineering group. If you go research them, it's another globalist front, like Microsoft, Apple, all of them. The big boxes are meant to destroy the economy. Just understand that. Walmart, all of it. So that's just some of the news. Let's go to, here's one more from J.D. Hayes at naturalnews.com, up on Infowars.com. And this happened a few months ago, but now it's back in the news. The person had a glitter poster, and the police said, well, we saw some of it falling. We think you tried to hoax people as a bioweapon. We're arresting you and charging you with it. Environmental activists, like all activists, can sometimes be overly disruptive and a little bit kooky in what they choose to protest. But the only thing that generally are not are terrorists. But apparently some political departments and federal law enforcement officials would beg to differ. Indeed, according to Mother Jones magazine, many activists have been subjected to arrest in the past, but never for being enemies of the state until now. It's not uncommon for environmental protesters to face arrest. But here's the first apparent. December 13th, Oklahoma City police charged a pair of environmental activists with staging a terrorism hoax when they unfurled a pair of banners covered with glitter, a substance local cops considered evidence of a fake biological assault. Though they didn't say bioattack, they just saw some glitter. It's like saying you assaulted an officer with detergent because you blew bubbles at them that didn't even touch them. This is the mental illness, folks. And again, this is the big article, Chicago pension crisis called worst in the nation. There's no amount of taxes are going to fix it. It was designed to do this. Okay, let's go to your calls. Just wanted to hit some more of that news. And then we're going to play this rabble-rouser clip we have queued up. Let's go to James in Kentucky. James, you're on the air.
Hello, sir. I have something of great importance I would like to share with you that I discovered the other day. I discovered how to reclaim your sovereign citizenship. And there's a link I would like to recommend.
Well, and I mean, have you gone out and then the establishment then let you on airplanes without IDs and suddenly you didn't have to pay taxes and stuff? I mean, did you discover it or has it worked?
Well, no, we've always had sovereign rights.
I know we have them, but they've taken them by force de jure, and they're just dominating us through force of tyranny.
I agree. They are. But if more people stand up in favor of this and understand what their rights really are, then this country, that would solve maybe all of our problems. And I'm really just kind of blown away at the fact you don't stand up for these things, but I do hear. Wait. I don't stand up for these things.
and then you want to plug a website.
I don't mean that, sir. I don't mean you don't stand up for our rights. I mean, I don't hear you say anything about how to reclaim our sovereign rights.
Well, I've had tons of guests on, like Red Beckman and countless others over the years. The problem is most of the people with the straw man arguments and all the rest of it, I've been doing this 18 years, so I know all about it. I'm not frustrated with you. I'm not trying to belittle you. It's just that there is reality to it, but the reality is educating people about it so we stop complying and realize our rights. I'm saying there isn't some magic thing you do that then stops it all. There's no silver bullet. I'm always hearing about silver bullets. And so here's my deal, though. I don't usually screen calls. I wanted to know what people thought the top stories of 2013 are. So you're saying it's a sovereign movement. I think moving to the country, becoming a farmer, buying locally, not complying with unconstitutional laws, getting out of the system, fighting stuff in court, learning the Constitution, Bill of Rights, suing corrupt officials, teaching them that they're public servants. I mean, there's a lot of real stuff. I just don't promote sovereign citizen type stuff because it's minefields of people promoting stuff and saying stuff that gets people in trouble. I mean, it's like the IRS is totally illegal, run by the Federal Reserve, set up in 1913, a total scam. But if the average person gets out of it, they will grab your bank accounts and shut you down and come after you. Now, if we keep complying, they're going to put the whole cashless society in and jack it up to where it's impossible to survive to make us destitute. That's the plan. So we almost have to stop paying it just to survive. It's meant to destroy us. I'm just saying make your own decision and watch out. But if you're small time and aren't a big organization and are just taking care of your family, there's 60 million people not paying it. That's why they want the cashless society to come after you. So I say bravo to those people out there. But it's like the mafia. I'm saying you make the decision whether you're going to pay them or not because they might break your legs. Let's go ahead and talk to Rod in France. Go ahead, Rod.
How you doing, Alex?
Good, brother.
All my best wishes for a new year that nobody's too sure about, but I don't know. We need to stick together and hope things go better, I guess. I wanted to make a comment earlier in the show when you were talking about radio-controlled aircraft. Going back to World War II, I wanted to let you know, since I'm from Kettering, Ohio, originally living in France now, I wanted to let you know that Charles Kettering back in 1917 was commissioned by the United States Army to make the first radio-controlled flying bomb, which was called the Kettering Bug, which I guess was the world's first drone. A little bit of trivia there for you.
Yeah, but people think they couldn't remote control the jet aircraft on 9/11. Those were the first large passenger liners fitted with systems for remote control.
Exactly, and I mean, for me, it's just common knowledge, but I guess it depends on, I don't know.
No, you get it. When you're informed, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a rabble-rouser. Let's skip this network break so I have time to go to people. I'm going to go to the bottom of the hour, then we've got a key work to get done, finish in the studio here with the great crew. But no, I know, when you're informed, the dumbed-down people have been taught that to laugh at you, and that makes them better than you. They think because you're trying to inform them, you're showing off to them. That's how pathetic some of the general public are.
And it's irritating. It's irritating, and it gets your blood up. But you just got to deal with it because you just have to realize that these people aren't informed, and they're spending their time probably watching soap operas or.
Well, no, that's it. And I mean, here's the deal to the sheeple. You want to drink fluoride. You want to take vaccines. You want to eat GMO. You see the cancer rates going up. People dying young. All the new diseases. Hey, knock yourselves out, morons. You want to eat a bunch of GMO chicken full of deadly chemicals and antibiotics, so superbugs, kill you and your whole family, and then, kill my family? Well, that's not more power to you. And it's just, look, it's all going to collapse. The globalists know the system's unsustainable, so they've made it even more unsustainable so they can control the collapse and gain power in a judo move out of the unsustainability of the system, while they blocked all the new technologies and systems and made us unsustainable. We have... Go ahead.
Exactly, and the thing about it is you're an expert at this. You're going to get it all thrown back in your face. People are going to laugh at you or belittle you or do whatever it is that they're going to do. But you just have to do your best to try to get them to understand.
Oh, listen. I saw a clip, and I appreciate your call. I got to jump to get the others. Finish your point. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, anyway, for 2013, real quickly, I wanted to say for me, the biggest things that happened in 2013, the biggest thing was the blatant, open disregard for rule of law. At the same time as the police state grows with virtually total impunity. And, a lot of this, I think, open anti-constitutional lawmaking by Obama is just incredible for me, and what I think is why things nothing has happened against this. I'm starting to believe, especially after the comments of Mr. Benny on your show the other day. I think that the NSA has criminal, maybe or immoral information on politicians, and maybe forcing them to do what they say or be exposed or lose their jobs.
Absolutely. Look, we already know this in England and here. Remember, every couple of years you hear about like 5,000 Pentagon computers had child porn on them. And then they go in and say, this is on your computer. And you're like, I didn't put that there. They're like, well, do what we say. They're putting it there. They can go and create fake search histories. They can go in as if they're you, go wherever they want. They can fake DNA. They can fake fingerprints. They can fake biometrics. All of it. It's all on record. And that's what Target does. That's what, it's just so crazy. I appreciate your call. God bless you. It is just totally disgusting to see all of this going on. It's just all fake. No, and that's it. They have created criminal divisions in all these governments and major corporations, and now they're busy getting rid of the old non-criminal divisions and converting to pure criminality. And people need to understand who did all this. It's the people that work for the system, and they think it's funny, and they're setting up a police state because that's a rearguard action to protect them in case we try to stop them. So the #1 mission is to get the word out about who did it. So this is the year that the rule of law was openly urinated all over and killed. So, of course, there's an awakening. The question is it happening fast enough? Nathan in California, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good, brother. What's on your mind?
So real quick, I was hoping to pitch one of your products real quick, just to let the whole world know that Super Male Vitality is the bee's knees. Turns you into a rock star. But on top of that, I would like to talk about how the United States is shipping guns over to Syria to fight Al-Qaeda when I was over in Iraq fighting to kill, just take out Al-Qaeda. It angers me, the fact that now I'm considered a terrorist because of my views, yet they're still giving guns to the people who were sent over to fight.
No, I totally agree with you, but it's the thing of it's the insult that they openly are funding Al-Qaeda and openly gave them the weapons at Benghazi and then let them kill the ambassador and the Navy SEAL people, the sheep dip Navy SEALs, CIA SEALs, showed that they could cover the whole deal up, and it just shows how incredibly arrogant they are. And I'm just sick of it. And I know the veterans out there, now you're the new threat. And you just know they're going to false flag and blame it on vets. Do you think vets are going to buy that? Do you think the military is going to buy taking over America to go after vets?
I've talked to a lot of my friends who are still in the military, and I got friends over in Iraq and Afghanistan right now, and they're sick of it. We're getting sent over there to fight Al-Qaeda, and yet we're fighting the people with our guns, and we're paying for it.
But again, if you're mega banks playing both sides, you get money and power out of that. People go, why would America fund Al-Qaeda and then they kill our troops? That's how you have a war. It's how you destabilize Iraq. It's how you destabilize Afghanistan. The goal is to screw stuff up. I mean, it's and the globalists admit that. That's their program. God bless you, sir. Sorry, one more point. Go ahead.
Oh, and everyone wants to say, Obama's doing such great things. Well, he's the one who's just extended the Afghan war for another 10 years. How many more people need to go over there and get butchered? I was a corpsman, like a medic. I've seen what happens over there. And these people are coming back maimed, killed, just so some other person can make a ton of money. And we need to, as a country, stand up and say, enough is enough.
Yes, and the only group, look, who are they demonizing? God bless you, and I appreciate you, sir. And even though the war was a fraud, your courage is still recognized. You believe you were fighting for liberty and freedom, so you're not guilty, and you could still be honored. I want people to understand that. God judges the heart, folks, because the world is so sophisticated. And it's only in hindsight that we learn the truth and then now can say it was wrong. I mean, I was always against it. But Walter Jones, who was for it, has apologized to everyone and has tried to end it. And that's really the essence of being manly, is when you're wrong, admitting it, and then setting about to try to rectify it. I mean, if you've been involved in abortions, you don't want to admit it was wrong because you don't want to admit you're wrong. Deep down, you know it was a bad decision. And you didn't understand all of it at the time, but just admit you're wrong now and try to end the practice. Certainly end it for the third trimester. And I'm telling you, it's like the Christmas story where you've got the bankers that have all the chains on them from all the evil they've done, and they tell Scrooge that his chains are twice that size, and he better start working to get them off. I mean, that's real, folks. Spiritually, that's basically what it is. And I know the Bible, people debate it back and forth, you know, faith without works is dead. We are saved by faith and by grace, but if you're not really saved, then you won't recognize evil and not want to be part of it, and you won't want to resist it, and you won't have works. I mean, people out there, these churches that just go and feel good all day and sit on their butts and do nothing, while all this evil's going on, and your church is really a 501c3 government institution, you're not in a church. And the church is really, many of these establishment glitterbug churches are really government spies sitting up there watching everything you're doing. And they're going to tell you, turn your guns in, take the inoculations, do what you're told when they drop the hammer. Just like in Red Dawn, when the Soviets take over with the Latin American invasion, it's very accurate the way it portrays. They go and they've got the mayor and the preachers working for them and reporting to them who is involved and who they think will resist, to then get them involved in the evil, so now they're part of it. That's how corruption works, folks, and I'm telling you right now, better decide which side you're on. You better decide right now, because I've never had more dread than I have now. And I am just lost in a wilderness of being overwhelmed. And I know you're overwhelmed too, so we just got to get our hearts right. And we just got to leave these big glitterbug churches, or shake them up, go in there and say, why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about that? Of just a bunch of people that see the world falling apart, who want to feel good and feel like they go one day a week to watch some glitterbug preacher on a big screen sit there and act like he's got the moral authority and he's the father and he's the leader. But then the wife sits there and, you know, and these women sit there and are the bosses of their husbands. I mean, these churches are evil, ladies and gentlemen. These churches now, because I watch them on television, I read their doctrines, I've been to them, and man, it is, it's all government run. Almost all these churches are government run now. And these preachers know who they are. I've even run into Baptist preachers at funerals and stuff who are good people overall, but they come over and they try to tell me I'm wrong about stuff, but they have this look in their eyes like they're scared, they're upset, they're convicted just seeing me. I can see everything written in their face because they know. They know, God knows they're a coward. And I'm telling you, the fact that you know that, I know what Christ is going to say at that white throne about you. He doesn't know you.
Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?